So this is the Smith's diesel ranking system of every diesel engine, let's put modern diesel pickup engine. If we went every diesel engine ever, that would be a list a mile long. You know, we work on a lot of different trucks here at the shop, and I always get people asking me, like, what's your opinion on this truck? You know, they're like, okay, which truck? You know, I see a bunch of these 6.4, 08 to 10 trucks. They're super cheap. So, you know, there's so many of them out there. Should I buy one of those? And I'm like, well, I love 6.4s. So then I say that, and they're like, oh, I got to go get a 6.4. They're the greatest thing ever. Then I'm like, well, let me tell you the whole story on the 6.4. So, like, this whole ranking system is my personal opinion. Trucks that we mostly work on here. You know, we've got the Duramax, the Powerstrokes, every generation of the Cummins. So let's begin.
The LB7.
All right,
Duramax.
The original, the OG LB7. They're great. I'm just gonna blanket this on like pretty much every Duramax up to like 2016. They rust out like crazy, and their hardware is absolute garbage. Benefits with the LB7, pre-emissions. Like, that's a big thing for any diesel truck, especially today. Not having to deal with EGR or catalyst or DPFs and having to delete it. Oh no, it's illegal, right? The pre-emissions trucks are great. You don't have to deal with that. And the LB7 are very strong engines. I've had customers that have had 400,000 miles on their LB7, and it's bone stock. I mean, they're even tuned, you know, turned up, you know, straight pipe, and they're still just keep on trucking. Now, we don't crank out 1 million Duramaxes a month, but in my experience working on them, I see a lot of injector failures, fuel injection control modules, but transmissions are very strong. I personally am not a fan of the Chevy body either, or the interiors. I feel like they ride like trash. I guess this is all location specific though, because if someone had a California LB7, it would not be bad to work on. But then you get one that came from Ohio, Michigan, anywhere in the Rust Belt, and you're just gonna have the time of your life working on that truck. Really, I'll give it a C, because it's pre-emissions. They do make decent power. You can modify them pretty well. So I'm gonna rank it on a C.
Gonna give it a little ding.
Oh yeah, and I'm not doing that every time.
No, come on,
silly.
come on. It is silly,
Right.
so do it.
All right, I'll rank it on a C.
You said you're gonna do it.
Bing!
There we go. So tell the people why you're not gonna rate the LLY and the LBZ.
Well, 2 reasons. I have not worked on too many of them, so I don't think I can give a valid opinion. But then the LLY, I feel, is just a emissions LB7. Same with the LBZ, like they're just an emissions. I'm just gonna kind of group them all together and skip over the LBZ and the LLY and jump straight to the LMM. The LMM. Not a huge fan. Man, if you ever sit in the interior of one of those, it looks like it's an LB7. Chevy was stuck in the Stone Age on interiors. You jump in a 6.4, 08 to 10, same generation, or even a 4th gen, right? They at least look, 4th gens are ugly in general, but like the early ones. What do I like about the LMM? Allison transmission, good capabilities with tuning. I just don't like Chevy. I don't like independent front suspension. Their frames rot out super early. The interiors are stuck in the Stone Age. The LMNs had transmission control module issues, tons of electrical issues and ground issues. Like, I'm gonna have to rank it down at like a, what's the lowest one?
F.
No, I'm gonna put the LMM in an F. Nobody ever builds an LMM.
For a reason.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
All right, let's go on to
If
F.
someone chooses to, well, I guess it's kind of like the black sheep of the Duramax. I'm sure somebody has built one, but it's like building a 6.4. You got to be an idiot to build one. Who does it?
Who builds
Especially one, not just one, two.
Two?
Why would you
Come
do
on.
that? Yeah.
Come on, you must have money to blow.
Yeah, and then he wants his girlfriend to sell her 3rd gen and get another 6.4.
What
Stupid.
an idiot.
Yeah, same thing with people that build LMMs. They're just, no. So I'm going to give it the F. I'll just rank it at F. Bing!
LML.
LML. I like them better than an LMM. Man, a tune and deleted LML, like those things scoot. And again, coming back around to Allison transmission. They are solid transmissions. You can put a lot of power to them. But man, where do you start with the failure points on LMLs? I mean, the big ones, right? Head gaskets, turbos, but then they go even deeper. Like they'll have pistons blow out from a failed injector. You can have the crankshaft dowel shear off. TCM failures, there goes a couple grand, you know, with super expensive repairs where like you'd just be driving down the road and the crankshaft decides to break in half, right? I tell you what, like they are money Like you go deep. Like, we just built one not too long ago for that guy. Like he just had to keep buying parts, and more parts because like everything was broken. The whole thing just came apart. But I'll just rank him at a D. Not a huge fan. And
All
again,
right.
the interior.
You put the LB7 above an LML.
Oh yeah, pre-emissions, more reliable. Only big issue they had was the injector problems. There's guys that just beat the crap out of those old LB7s for years and years and years and years, and they just take it. The stupid design on almost every older Duramax is to put a water pump on them. It's just a lot of dumb designs, I should say. Well, I guess we're gonna get into the L5P next.
Mm-hmm. But you got to bang up
I got to bang
LML.
so I'm gonna rank the LML at a D. Bing.
L5P.
I like the L5P. Oh, something I didn't mention on every other Duramax, up pipes. Like they are a nightmare to replace. This is why I like the L5P. They changed the design of the EGR, like of where it feeds, so that when you delete it and remove the EGR, which we don't do here at Smith's Diesel, but
No.
if someone were to do that,
Right.
and they removed the EGR on an older Duramax, then you have this feed pipe that's hanging off the up pipe, and they're known to crack and break, and then it's like this nightmare. And we all know Chevy hardware and Chevy bolts. The bolts snap off in the turbos, they snap off in the manifolds. L5P, you don't even have to deal with those anymore. They made it much easier to access the turbos and everything. Like the turbo bolts, I don't know, they make great power. They sound good. I feel like the bottom ends are really strong. I mean, I guess the biggest thing, tune and delete L5P, you're making over 600 horsepower. Right, they make some good power. The 17 to 19s, great transmissions, but then 2020 they switched to a 10-speed. I'm not as big of a fan of the 10 speeds as I am of the 6-speed, just because they don't seem to hold power as well for long durations. Overall, like I would actually, out of all the Duramax, I would probably buy a L5P if I had to pick one. I wouldn't want an LB7. I wouldn't want to go that old and uncomfortable to ride in. Even the L5Ps are uncomfortable to ride in. First choice of a Duramax, unless I got a really cheap LML, because they can party. But then when they break, they break. I think L5Ps are going to rank a B.
A B.
Bing.
None for the A or the S.
No Duramax.
It belongs up that high?
That belongs for the...
Yeah, B or below.
No.
B4 below on the Duramax.
I think everybody would agree with me. I don't think anybody's going to put a Duramax on top. I'm not trying to push and say, like, my opinion is that, Powerstroke's going to be up top and some of the Cummins generations, because I think they're really great. The LM2 is 2020 and up, little baby Duramax, and they're actually kind of growing on me, other than they're a pain to work on and a pain to modify, and aftermarket support is absolutely garbage. They're actually kind of cool. They're a 3-liter inline, so it's like a little mini Cummins, but it's a Duramax. I mean, they're honestly not that bad, other than the emission system that's bolted to the side of the engine and the amount of labor it takes to remove and install, emissions components on them, and like where they put components is just ridiculous. So, anytime you have a newer diesel in a pickup truck, it's bound to have some problems. I think they're growing on me. A couple of the LM2s in the shop, and I've worked on all of them, and have not been a fan of working on them. Not very easy to work on, but they drive great and they sound good. I'd rank that one a B also. Yep, I'll do the LM2 on a B. Bing.
We are moving on to the Cummins.
All right.
Yeah, all right. Tell me about the first gen 5.9 Cummins.
First gen Cummins, the
Yep.
fan favorite. Mm-hmm. It's like comparable to a square body Chevy or like an old high boy. Wow, that was really twangy.
High boy.
A high boy
High
F100.
Okay, David.
Yep. First gens have a huge following. They hold their value like you would not believe. There's guys that will pay $30,000+ for these high mile. It's like the OBS 7.3. First gen Cummins. What do I like about them? I think they're cool looking old trucks, to be honest. Like I much better than, actually I think, other than like a 5th gen, best looking Cummins. But only reason I'd be biased to a 5th gen or a 6th gen is because they're new, right? So they look all modern and cool. But honestly, like I think the first gen are one of the best looking, clean old diesel trucks. What don't I like about first gens? Clunky, and the interiors are just old. I'm just not a fan of old trucks, to be honest. And Oh, the crazy front end, like the four-wheel drive, the front end with all the pivots and all this, that's just a nightmare to work on them. Parts can be sometimes difficult to get for the truck itself. Engine, doesn't matter. 12-valve Cummins, you can get parts from anybody for a 12-valve Cummins, but then the actual truck parts, when you need little components here and there, they can be difficult to find. Not a fan. Like the first gen had a VE pump, which is a little different than the common pump that's put on most trucks, or they put the P pump that came with the second gen. As far as we're going overall though, right?
Your
So,
overall opinion of
my
each
overall, a first gen as it comes, I would put it at a B. I'm gonna put it at a B class.
A lot of B's.
Yeah.
A lot of B's.
I can't rank it as an A. If it had a P pump in it,
Yeah.
out of a second gen, I would rank that probably like an S. Because then it's just like, or if you took a whole second gen powertrain and dropped it into a first gen where you had an NV4500 and a P pump, then that thing's just a powerhouse that looks cool. Because you jump to the second gen and they're just ugly as crap. So, but the first gen, as it comes, no modifications, B class.
All right.
Bing.
Second gen, 5.9 Cummins. Tell me about
Second gen
it.
Cummins. I actually really like the early second gen Cummins because second gen is, as far as body styles go, like it's, right, it's 94 all the way up to 02, technically. Diesel second gen world, that's not one generation. It's technically like early second gen, late second gen. Early second gen, 94 to 98. I'm going to rank that one pretty high, like an A class, because I love the P pump 7100 Bosch pump. You can make some crazy power. They sound super good. As far as like easy modifications, very DIY friendly. Now manual trans with the NV4500, even better. Throw a heavy duty clutch in there, weld the fifth gear nut, and bam, you've got, 800 plus horsepower capable setup on a pretty much stock engine, stock transmission, and just whack some head studs in it, big injectors, and modified the pump, and you're partying for pretty cheap. Automatic trans, second gen, bleh, they're pretty junky. They're not the greatest. I mean, any automatic Dodge, all the way back, first gen, second gen, third gen. I mean, they're just junk. I mean, just stock transmission Dodges. Once you build them, they hold really, really well. But stock, no, they're just junk. But as far as a ranking, well, I guess I have to group the entire second gen all together, right? Not just 94 to 98. The things I don't like about second gens in general, the body is super ugly. I think they look horrendous. The interiors are ugly. The dash is cracked. The front ends are junk. They rust away. My first second gen, I had a 95 that somebody wrecked. The reason the guy got rid of it was because the track bar mount literally rusted off of the axle. The hitch in the back looked like it was about to fall off. They rust and fall apart. And everybody knows that. And the bodies just fall apart with it too. Like, that's the definition of the engine will go until the body falls like off of it. And you're just rolling down the street with a motor.
A frame.
Yeah. Not even. The frame will fall in half and they're horrible. The bodies fall apart. Late second gen, I don't like VP pumps, the injection pumps on the 99 to 02. Not a fan of the VP pumps. Again, not a fan of the 47RE. Early second gen, late second gen. Combining the two of those, I'm going to have to do a B class because I can't give it an A if we're including. I would rank it on an A class if it was just the early one. It couldn't be an S because the bodies are hideous, but I'm going to rank it B.
Hey, do you want to split them up? We can split them up.
Well, if we're going to split them up, 94 to 98 is going to be an A class because engine transmission, they're fun to play with. Easy to swap into just about anything. Big fan favorite for Cummins swap, but then we're talking late VP truck. Only thing they've got a really good sounding limiter, and you can tune them with a electronic tuning device versus having to get in there with screwdrivers and plates and screws and valves, and it's not full mechanical. So I'd say the VP second gen, I'm gonna rank that at a C.
Third gen 5.9 Cummins.
We don't even need to talk about it, just put it at an F.
At an F?
No, I'm just kidding.
Depending on the driver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, me driving,
S tier.
S-Class. Kenzie driving.
Not even on the chart.
Nope. All right, what do I like about the third gen? I like a lot of things about the third gen. 24 valve, strong bottom end. They don't have the issues with like the killer dowel pin issue that the second gens had. They have a 48 RE, is a little stronger than a 47 RE. Still have problems. They still blow up. The problem with the third gen was they rust out. You know, coolant lines, transmission lines that are all steel, and they all rust out. And that's a problem like we've even faced with our third gen, was leaking transmission lines. When we first got it, it was leaking coolant. The accumulator for the AC was rusted out. Fuel lines, my return and feed lines to the CP3, my high pressure injection lines, like all of it needed replaced. And that's the downside is, you know, if you don't get a clean third gen, that the, you know, like ours, the body is really clean, but the engine and everything else was just crusted away. What do I like about them? Easy to make power with. You can throw a tune and a turbo on it and make a little over 500 horsepower. They're fun to drive. They sound great. 48 REs, they aren't the best transmission, but they can be built very, very well, and they can hold power very well. Overall, I'm going to give the third gen an A class.
Ooh, okay.
Out of all. And the last reason why, they're the last pre-emissions Cummins.
You gonna bang it up there?
Oh yeah, so I'm gonna put the third gen on A class. Bing.
6.7. Fourth gen Cummins.
Fourth gen Cummins.
6.7, baby.
Okay, they started making some improvements, like the look of the trucks, right? With the fourth gen, I feel like they changed the front clip up, they changed the interiors, the beds look a little different, right? They're trying to modernize because they're starting to see other trucks, like when the 6.7 Powerstroke came out, steel body 6.7, and they're making them look a lot better and look more modern. Dodge, Mopar was like, oh, we better step it up or else we're gonna lose sales, because they're making better looking trucks. Well, it's kind of a feature. Some people think it's a downside. They have a VGT turbo. Ford had VGT turbos for a long time, which helps pull turbo lag out, right? So you're adding a feature, but then you're creating another thing to fail. And a lot of people pull off the VGT turbo and put a second gen swap on it because they want that raw Cummins sound. Big downside of fourth gens: front ends, ball joints, U-joints, tie rods. I mean, they just eat front ends like you would not believe. Track bars, transmissions, and everybody knows how I feel about 68 RFEs. That was when they introduced the 68, was with, well, technically the late third gen, because that's the 07 to 09 was technically a third gen body style. I've not had good experiences with 68s at all. Yeah, everybody always is like, oh, you're crazy. I got 300,000 miles on my 68. You got a unicorn. And now that you said it, it heard you, and it's going to go lose fourth, fifth, and sixth gear tomorrow. I can't I can't support 68s. I have a customer who has 7 trucks with 68 RFEs, and I think every single one has blown the 68. And we currently have one of his trucks at the other shop waiting to get a new valve body in his 68 because it has valve body codes. Like, it's got codes, you know, and it's probably going to fail. They're going to put a valve body in it, and a year later the trans is going to go out. A second gen swapped fourth gen, one of the crispiest, nastiest trucks you're going to ever hear going down the road. They sound fantastic. They have the G56. Very big, very popular, because the fourth gen was the last generation of the G56. 2019, when they came out with the 5th gen, got rid of the G56 altogether. Have insanely strong bottom ends, 1,200, 1,300 horsepower. You don't have to touch the bottom end. You literally just throw head studs in these things, big injectors, big turbo, and you can party for days, you know, or for months. Like, they last a long time. Combine that with a G56 truck and some heavy duty ball joints, because you're going to be going through those every other month. You know, you got a pretty solid truck. I don't know, fourth gens I would probably rank, even though, I mean, I hate a lot of things about them. My personal ranking, I'm actually going to rank them at an A class. Yeah, I'm going to rank them at an A class.
So far, you only have Cummins in A class.
Yeah, because it's a Cummins.
94 to 98, 2G, 3G.
I would almost rank, if I'm putting classifications like modifications, then I'm starting to be biased.
Should be as it comes, but theoretically,
possibilities to be made.
Let's say a 4G was thrown into your lap right here, right now.
Yeah.
Right, as it comes, knowing its capabilities.
Yeah.
Not that it's been modified yet. Where would you rank it?
I mean, it's an S class then.
What?
Yeah.
That's gonna be your first.
Yeah.
S is a 4th gen Cummins. That's where you're throwing it.
Yeah, There's a lot of reasons because I would never rank a 5th gen as an S-Class, even with its potential capabilities, because you have to swap out the whole engine to a 4th gen motor. Because they have hydraulic lifters versus these still have solid tappet lifters. Huge capabilities on engine power. All the biggest power makers out there are 4th gen motors. The top probably 10 most powerful Cummins are 4th gen motors. Or the 6.7 Cummins, because some guys will take a 4th gen engine, 6.7, and drop it into a 3rd gen. Like that's what if you ever blow the motor in the 3rd gen, that's what I'm going to do, because I want to have a 6.7 in it instead of a 5.9. But I think potential and capabilities and the ability that they have to, for some reason, just hold this crazy amount of power. I'm going to say an S-Class on a 4th gen.
Wow.
Bing!
5th gen 6.7 Cummins.
I think they look cool.
F-Class.
Yeah. Well, there's so many things that Cummins changed with them problematic. Like, I mean, the biggest things, hydraulic lifters. They still kept the 68 RFE. I mean, they had the AS69 RC, but that was the only in the heavy duty ones, the high output trucks with 3,500 high output trucks. Still, like, the 5th gen had all the typical problems the 4th gen had, but Cummins was like, you know what, let's change this over to hydraulic lifters so that every 80,000 miles, if you haven't changed the oil every other block, you're going to have a high lifter failure. And yeah, we're going to make them really difficult to remove now. You know, when they fail, it can catastrophically blow your engine up. Other than they look nice, man, I really can't. And I own one. I mean, that's the funny part. The reason we bought ours is because they're new. It's newer. I was like, all right, if I buy a newer truck, it'll have less problems. It does not have less problems. I'm probably just going to throw the 5th gen on a C tier. I'll do it on a C as they come.
LB7.
Yeah, no.
And the VP2G?
No.
You're putting the 5th gen down there?
No, I'll put it in a B class then.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what the L5P, LM2, and 1st gen.
The LM2's in a B tier?
Mm-hmm. That's where you put it.
Okay, that's fine. I'm cool with that.
Okay.
See,
I mean, we can review all of this at the end. I'm just reminding you.
My problem is that I would rank the 5th gen higher, but I'm thinking of my 5th gen. My 5th gen I would rank like an A, but just the normal 5th gen.
As they come.
Thrown
into your lap.
I'm gonna throw them on a B class.
Okay.
Yep. Bing.
How about the 5.0 Nissan Titan?
Junk. Absolutely junk. Like, I hate Nissan, right? And then they're like, you know what, let's put a Cummins in it. And everybody's like, yeah, that's so cool, because people want to be able to tow with their Nissan Titan XD. And I'm like, and then they're like, we're going to put a V8, it's going to be a 5-liter, and we're going to make it extremely difficult to work on, give it a bunch of emissions problems, and it's going to be a throwaway engine that, mind you, you look it up, they're like $25,000 for a new engine for this truck, and they last like 100,000 miles before they explode and shear the crankshaft or blow the turbos and run away. Nothing good about them. Yeah, so I'm going to put that one on an F class. It doesn't even deserve that.
You want to put it below F class?
I don't think you can.
You want to?
Unranked.
You want to unrank it?
The unranked diesel.
Yeah, we're going to put it below.
Yeah, I'll just do that on a doesn't deserve to be ranked.
All right, moving on to Powerstroke.
Yep.
Tell me about the 7.3.
7.3 Powerstroke.
Yep.
I believe it's the old, like, tried and true. Okay, anytime ask me, I want to get my son his first diesel truck. What should I get him? And I would tell him, like, I'll get an old 12-valve Cummins, but that thing is probably going to live in the shop because his son's going to get on YouTube and start screwing with stuff. Like, why is a 7.3 a good first diesel? Because they can't make enough power to hurt themselves. So they're never in the shop until you have an entire electrical system go up in flames, or, you know, something, a PCM goes out, and sensor, ICP, IPR, turbo explosions, and oil leaks everywhere. You will leave your mark everywhere you go. I don't care if you reseal that engine top to bottom with the top of the line, most quality gaskets and gasket maker, it's still gonna leak oil unless you put a diaper on it. Like, it's just gonna be, that's just how they are. I mean, they can be built a little bit to be fun, put a turbo injectors, and you just might make enough horsepower to touch like a tuned 6-liter, you know, with big injectors, big turbo, and you put just a tune on a 6.0 and you're still getting walked. I personally am not a huge fan. I've owned a couple 7.3s. Not a huge fan. They're terrible to get started when it's cold outside. They have no get up and go power. Are they reliable? I believe that they are definitely up there with reliability on older diesels. Some of those things, man, you run them to 300 and 400 plus and more miles, 1,000 miles. And all these guys do is they're just like, oh, I just changed the oil. I have one customer, he was like, yeah, every time I change my oil in my 7.3, I just drain it out the truck and dump it right in my fuel tank. He just does that. Yep, every time. He said he's done it since it was brand new. And they just keep on trucking. But unfortunately, I am going to rank it at a C class. Because I am not a fan.
You're putting the 7.3
They rust out. I
Powerstroke.
currently have a 7.3 here that has a hole rusted through the cylinder head.
That's pretty crazy.
Maybe it's just because I'm in Ohio. But even I've worked on clean 7.3s that have crazy electrical issues, and it just annoys the junk out of me.
Just to recap, you're putting it with the LB7 and the VP2G.
Yep.
That's where you're putting the 7.3?
Yep. That's where
Very
she
confidently.
belongs.
All right, bang it up there.
Bing.
Dave's going to hate you for that.
Yeah.
He's going to hate you for that. All right.
Just wait till Dave hears where I
Hey.
put the 6.4.
Oh, the 6.0 Powerstroke.
I think they are actually one of the biggest followings, guys that mod their diesel pickup truck. There's a ton of guys. I mean, look at this guy. Like,
Yep.
almost 20-plus-year-old truck, and he's dumping 30 grand into it, you know? I don't know. Some people say that it was the last Powerstroke that sounds like a real diesel. That has that glug, 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 you know, that like diesel rattly sound. Like Cummins still have that. They're like about to fall apart almost. 6.0s sound like they have a permanent rod knock. My personal opinion, I actually like how 6 liters drive. I like the 5R110 transmission. I like the ZF6 transmission that come behind them. I like that they are extremely easy to work on. Turbocharger, 30 minutes, boom, boom. Swap it off, swap it on, you're done. You know, 6.4, 6.7 Powerstroke? Nah. 6.7 Cummins? Nah. That's like 6 hour plus job, you know, on any other truck. 6.0, 3 bolts, line, feed line, drain line, you know, pop it off, pop it on, you know, you're done. Honestly, they are pretty easy to make power with, like to make them fun to drive. So, you know, injectors and a stage 2 turbo and a tune, you're over 550, 600 horsepower, and you've got a really fun street truck. And I think they sound good. The 6.0 cackle, as they call it. It's kind of, I mean, they're a little obnoxious sometimes with how loud they are. I actually do like the body style as well. I think the interiors are nice. The Lariat, the 05 to 07 front end, not the David front end, the 03, 04 junk. This front end, I like them. I like the headlights and grille, the bumper, the two-tone paint bumper. I'm gonna give a 6 liter we'll throw it on a B class because I can't rank it A class because I'm leaving out all the things they have wrong with them. You know, like the head gaskets and bottom end failures and injector failure and fuel pumps and fuel pump control modules, fuel injector control modules, cam sensors, fuel injector harnesses, the gym modules that go out, and, you know, oil leaks that, you know, they leak all over the place, and water pumps that eat into the front cover, and oil pumps and lifters and camshafts and high pressure pumps and standpipes and dummy plugs and nipple cup O-rings and injector seals. Outside of all that, they're great trucks. That's why I can't give it an A class. Most definitely not an S class. So I'm gonna have to throw it in the B class with the rest of them.
Bang it up there.
Bing.
There you go. 6.4 Powerstroke.
We already know how I feel about 6.4s. Yeah. Okay, let's talk about 6.4s for a second because you know, if you what other than now, see, I can't say this anymore because now 2023 and up Powerstrokes and the L5Ps, you can put some crazy power to them. But back in the day, 2008, the 6.4 comes out and they're like, you know what? Let's throw 2 turbos on it, which is crazy because every other production truck has had a single turbo. And then some dude out there was like, you know what? Let's throw a K16 injection pump that can flow enough fuel to, like, I don't know. I was trying to think of something cool to say, but they flow a lot of fuel. They can make crazy power, right? So like me and my dad tuned one a long time ago. Guy picks it up as a manual trans truck. Now mind you, at the time, this was like 2011, so this truck's pretty much still brand new. Literally just put a straight pipe on it and a tune. The dude picks it up. He gets it out on the highway. It was a manual transmission truck. He comes back like immediately and he's like, I don't know, something seems to be wrong. I hit the gas pedal and like the RPMs go up real high and there's a lot of smoke and like it just, I think my clutch is slipping. So we went out and he's literally doing rolling burnouts going down the highway. That's how much power this thing made. And me and my dad were like, this is insane. And that's when they guys were like, let's test the limits of how much power you can squeeze out of these things. And they're making 350 plus extra horsepower on just a tune. Soon after these guys start throwing these crazy horsepower files on them, they start dropping like flies. The engines, like they just cracking pistons, blowing turbos, cracking pistons, blowing up pipes, cracking pistons, like blowing out bottom ends, throwing correct connecting rods through the side of the block. Like it just all starts just hitting the fan, so to speak. Like it just starts coming apart. I think they sound cool. I have 2 single swapped 6.4s, and I think a single swap 6.4 sounds way cooler than a factory compound 6.4. I don't like the compound sound. They're so quiet and whooshy. Sounds like you're driving a Hoover. Too many whooshy turbo noises and not enough diesel noises. But I guess the biggest downside to a 6.4 is when you build them, you have to build everything. Like there's so much stuff that you need to replace when you build one to make them reliable. Still might blow up. So, I guess that means I have to rank it at like, an S tier.
S?
Yeah, I'm going to put it on an S tier.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm biased.
Before or after the 4G?
I'd put it above a 4G.
Wow.
Yeah. Bing!
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's where it belongs. 3G's an A, right?
Eh.
Yeah, see? That's all right. If you were ranking this, you could put it as an S tier.
What, the 3G?
Yeah.
No, I put the 6.4 as S. Just because I like them better. 6.7 Powerstroke.
All of them?
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
unless you want to split them up for some
No,
reason.
that's all right. Because there's steel body and then Aluma Duty. Like
That's
that
so
one over
deep.
there is a steel body 6.7. I think the 6.7 Powerstroke is fantastic. Extremely strong transmission. Ford finally did a decent job being able to make a stock transmission that can hold power. 6R140, great. 10R140, junk. 2020, they switched to a 10-speed. Same with the L5P, they switched to a 10-speed in 2020. And both of the 10 speeds, I'm pretty sure they did like this joint manufacturing thing, and I can't confirm that. Someone else might be able to chime in on that, but someone told me that the 10-speed in the GM and the 10-speed in the Ford in 2020 both were like built by similar manufacturers, and that's why they share similar issues. But when you leave the truck stock, great truck. I've got a customer, Randy, and he's got a 2022 truck with like 538,000 miles, bone stock. He's got 2023 truck with like 200,000 miles. I mean, he racks up a lot of miles. I've got a lot of customers with high mileage 6.7s and like hardly any issues at all. 2 biggest issues I see with the 6.7 Powerstroke: oil leaks. They have upper oil pan failures and they just profusely leak oil. I mean, and then of course, I got to mention the typical notorious CP4 injection pump failure. I think that's its biggest design flaw, upper oil pans. But they fixed the upper oil pan issue in 2020 because they switched to an actual gasket. But the 11 to 19 typical upper oil pan leak failures, CP4 failures on the Powerstrokes. Overall, I'm going to rank them at A class for the 6.7 Powerstroke. If it did, once you do like a DCR conversion, I would actually put them up on like an S class. I think they're the best riding truck. They're smooth. They drive nice, other than the early ones with the death wobble problem that they're known to have. But it's easy to fix, so it's not that big a deal. Yeah, I think I'm going to put the 6.7 Powerstroke, if we're grouping every generation every year, all as one, as an A class truck, A class engine. Bing.
That is all the trucks. So I'm going to bring you this list.
Yeah.
And you're going to make 100% sure that this is where you want to put everything before finalizing.
I might have to knock down the LM2. I don't know why I put the LM2 so high. I would put the LM2 on a C class. Everything else I agree with. I don't know enough about the LM2s. They haven't been out on the road long enough to say they're a long-term durable diesel engine. Like 7.3s, they'll run forever. I mean, there's probably going to still be some of them on the road in 20 years. 6.0s, it's going to be it would have been rebuilt already like 6 times by the time a 7.3 made it to 500,000. So I agree with these. I mean, the 94 to 98 second gen, like engine wise, 100% S class, but truck wise, trash. The overall truck, you can't put that as an S class. They're hideous. The front ends suck. The dash is crack. The electronics are junk in those older trucks too. headlights, everything is just terrible. Yeah, everything else I think I would agree with. There's my rankings of every single diesel pickup truck, modern diesel pickup truck. You know, I am biased to the 6.7 Cummins and the 6.4. Obviously, I think they're fantastic. I think they're fun to drive. They're expensive to keep on the road, but I think they sound cool and they're really fun. This doesn't always affect what I tell people when they're like, all right, what truck should I buy as my first truck? I'm not going to tell every single person to go buy a 6.4. But then, like, if I'm out talking to somebody and they're like, you know, I've been thinking about buying a 6.4 and building one, you know, I want to make a project out of it. 100%. I think it's great. You know, and I'll walk you through what you need to do to keep them alive and to keep them running good, and you're going to fall in love with the 6.4 because they are really fun. But then if you're just like, I just want to buy a truck, I'll throw a hot tune on it, and I want it to live forever, it's not going to happen unless you go buy a G56 4th gen, you know, because then that's the only one you can beat on all the time, and it'll just take it, right? So there's different trucks for different people, and that's why, you know, this ranking system is more my personal opinion. There's my Smith's diesel ranking of every single Powerstroke and Duramax and Cummins engine and the trucks that come around with them. And I just want to say thanks for watching. And if you like our content, be sure to like and subscribe. Drop a comment on what you think is the most reliable diesel or what your favorite diesel is. You can either say engine or the truck itself. There's always the people that say like, oh, well, the best truck is going to be a Ford with a Cummins in it. And I do kind of agree with that. But yeah, make sure to throw a comment in there. Let me know which you think is the best diesel engine. I'm still going to say it's a 6.4. So again, thanks for watching.